Welcome to the Teaching Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Hi, I'm Nikki, a passionate special educator, autism advocate, resource creator with over a decade of experience, and you may know me as the face behind Teaching Autism. This podcast is your go-to place for practical tips, hands-on strategies, and inspiring and funny stories to support special educators all around the world, whether it's building independence, creating engaging lessons, or finding that elusive work-life balance. I'm here to help you thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Let's dive into today's episode and make a difference together. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're diving into a behavior that, let's be honest, can be really tough to navigate, and that's biting. If you work in special education, particularly with autistic students, chances are that you've seen a student biting, whether it's themselves, others, or even objects. And while it can be challenging in the moment, there's always a reason behind it. So today we're going to chat about why students bite, how to redirect those behaviors, and 5 strategies that you can use in the classroom to help reduce and hopefully prevent biting. So if that sounds good, let's jump right in. All right, so first up, why do our students bite? It is so easy to see biting as just a bad behavior or something that needs to be stopped immediately. But as we always say, behavior is communication. So let's break down some of the reasons why our students might be biting. So number 1, sensory needs. Some students seek oral input because their sensory system craves it. They might bite because they need that deep pressure or that proprioceptive input. Reason 2 is communication. For some students, biting is their way of saying, I'm frustrated, I need help, or even I want attention. Or 3, emotional regulation. Biting can be a response to really big emotions like frustration, anger, excitement, or anxiety. 4, escape or avoidance. If a student doesn't want to do something or maybe feels overwhelmed, biting might be their way of getting out of a situation. And 5, medical reasons. So teething, pain, even something like a ear infection can actually lead to increased biting behaviors. So the first step in addressing biting is understanding why it's happening in the first place. So first of all, let's look at maybe redirecting some sensory biting. So if you have a student who is biting for sensory reasons, our goal isn't just to stop them. We need to redirect that sensory need to something that is safe and more appropriate. So some great alternatives for sensory seekers include chewable jewelry, also known as jewelry. So things like necklaces, bracelets, even pencil toppers. Chewy tubes or chew sticks that are made especially for our kids who need some oral input. Crunchy snacks work really good, so things like carrot sticks, apple slices, even pretzels. Cold or textured foods, so sometimes cold applesauce or frozen fruit or something with a different texture can provide the input that they are craving. And also silicone straws, so drinking through a thick straw can give some of that same deep pressure that maybe they're craving. So if you have a student who is a big sensory biter, make sure they always have access to these alternatives and redirect them consistently so they learn what's okay to chew and what's not okay to chew. So 5 strategies to reduce biting in the classroom. So now we're going to dive into 5 strategies you can use in the classroom to help reduce or stop biting behaviors that maybe aren't linked to sensory reasons like we just discussed. So number 1, the same advice that I give everyone who reaches out to me with a behavior question is you need to identify the function of the behavior. This is so important. If you can figure out why a student is biting, you can address the root cause instead of just reacting to the behavior. So keep track of when it happens, what was going on before. Remember the ABC technique. What happened after? All of this is going to help you find patterns and make a plan. And remember, there doesn't always only need to be one function of a behavior. There can be more than one function of a behavior as well. So really pay attention to those patterns, and then you'll be able to find what the function or functions of this behavior are. And then you can start to make steps forward in the next direction. 2 is to teach communication alternatives. So if you have a student who is biting because they're frustrated or overwhelmed or they want attention, we need to give them another way to communicate. So this could be using visuals, sign language, even a simple gesture to show what they need instead of biting. It might be that they don't know how to ask for some sensory input that they're looking for. It might be they don't know how to ask for help, and maybe they are unsure on how to regulate themselves at that moment and calm down. So the frustration and that anxiety and that anger, they're coming out as biting because they have learned that this is the quickest way to get a reaction or attention when they're feeling those really big feelings. 3 is to provide sensory supports. So like we were just discussing, if biting is sensory seeking, then you need to make sure the student has access to alternative ways to get that input that their body is craving. So you could have a designated chewing spot in the classroom, maybe a basket with chew tools, fidget toys, or oral motor activities. Now, when I talk about having areas like this, sometimes I'll get a little bit of a kickback from educators saying that students don't use these areas that they have set up in their classroom. And it's kind of like anything. So you know how we teach our children to walk and we teach our children to talk. And I think it's very easy sometimes to forget that we also need to teach our children about their feelings and their emotions and how to regulate those things. And it's the same for sensory skills as well. So a lot of your students might not actually understand what they are seeking from a sensory aspect. They just seek what it is because they know that it gives them something that makes their body feel good and feel right again. So the idea is to be the best role model for this and to go over and show them how to use this station. If you have a calm down area in your classroom, it is okay for you to say, "Oh my gosh, I feel so angry right now. I can't do work. I need the calm down spot." And you role play and you show your students how to get to the calm down area, how to use the calm down area, how to behave in the calm down area, how to use the things in the calm down area to regulate your emotions. And it's going to be the same with this little chewing spot or chewing basket as well. Show students what they can do, how they can get there, and how those things will help them. 4 is to use social stories and visual supports. If you know me, you know I love a good social story, and I'm a huge advocate for visuals being everywhere, not just for our special education students, but in general education as well. Everyone benefits from visuals. Some students need explicit teaching about what is okay and what isn't okay. A social story about biting, visual reminders of safe choices, even simple first and then boards can help reinforce what we do want our students to do. And 5, to be proactive with schedules and transitions. Sometimes biting happens when students just feel overwhelmed or they don't know what's coming next. So a predictable schedule, transition cues, and preparing students ahead of time can help prevent those moments of frustration that lead to biting. So there you have it, another super quick episode, because I know from feedback that loads of you were saying that you wanted much quicker, shorter podcast episodes this time round because you like to listen on your commute to and from work. So biting can be a tricky behavior to manage, and it's very tricky to squeeze that into a quick podcast episode. But I think the important thing for us to remember is that when we understand why the biting is happening, and we provide alternatives and use strategies to support our students, we can make a huge difference for them and the other students and staff in our classroom as well. If this episode was helpful, make sure to share it with your team or anyone who works in special ed. And as always, if you have questions or you want to hear more on a specific topic, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's it for today. Take care, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next episode.